special meeting for the York County School Board for Monday, July the 10th. Good evening, everyone. This evening's purpose is to have a public hearing for citizens to give their input on filling the vacant school board seat for District 2. According to state policy, we have a 45-day window. We were hoping that we would just go straight to election to do that, but Mrs. Kursky moved sooner than anticipated, so we are having to abide by the 45-day window. So that's why we've had interviews so far, and tonight is the public hearing. Thank you. This evening, we are hearing from individuals regarding candidates who have submitted applications for this seat. This is for an interim position only. Keep in mind that the person who is identified by this board will go into, we will look at the date of Wednesday to be sworn in, because we have to do that as soon as possible. But that person serves through December. The special election is November the 7th, so any of the candidates can run for the office. Other people, that that closing for people to apply to have their names on the ballot will not close until mid-August. So any other citizen can still do that. But we are here tonight to hear comments regarding, the interim seat from the person being sworn in to the end of December only. Gentlemen, anything else, Ms. Economo, that we need to specify?
Nope.
Thank you. With that, I am going to open the public hearing. As I call your name, please come to the podium. You will have 3 minutes to give your comments. Once you start speaking, Mrs. Ford will be monitoring the timer that you have in front of you, and we will go ahead and get started with the public hearing. Again, this is for District 2 school board member. Nathan, come on. I always mispronounce that. Correct that for me.
Kau?
Ko.
Yes. Good evening, school board members, interim candidates, community members. My name is Nathan Kau. I'm a recent graduate of Grafton High School and will be attending Christopher Newport University in the fall. Because of my recent graduation, I feel as if I can bring valuable and fresh input to the board. I know what's working and what's not. I want to ensure that YCSD implements real policies and practices that benefits the success of all students, whether it be high achievers, special education, or career tech. Administration and the school board pass a multitude of educational programs each year that find its way into the classroom. I feel as if I can provide input on programs such as Bring Your Own Technology and testify the progress of that program. As a licensed and insured small business owner, I know the real-life skills our graduates need to be successful in the real world when they leave YCSD. I want our students to be ready for the real world and will push for a stronger economics education program that prepares students for life, no matter what path they choose, college, military, joining the workforce right away. I want to serve District 2. I want to be accountable to the families and citizens within it, and will seek to propose removal of block scheduling and implement the return of the 7-period day. It has been my experience, and I have heard from teachers, students, and past educators that block scheduling reduces classroom success and opens the door to attention loss and increased personal technology use. Seeing them daily, the teachers, will help with positive reinforcement. It's not about how long we have our subject, we teach our subject matter, but how often. I welcome input from families and teachers and want us all to work together to make YCSD stronger. I want to help YCSD be stronger and safer. According to the Virginia Beach Justice Initiative, Virginia had the 15th highest number of human trafficking cases reported, with Hampton Roads being amongst the top 13 in the state for reported cases. Human trafficking is happening in our own backyard, with cases occurring as close as Kiln Creek. Newport News just passed the Prevention Project program to bring in Virginia Beach Justice Initiative workers in to educate students about this current issue. I will work with the school board to bring VBJI into our schools to educate students and make them aware of the dangers hidden from plain sight. Don't let my age fool you. I'm a hard worker and passionate about education. I look forward to working with the board to continue making YCSD stronger and safer. Thank you for allowing me to serve my community.
Thank you very much. The next person signed up is Pam Pouchot.
Good evening. My name is Pam Pouchot. I reside at 103 Kimberly Court in Yorktown. A history lesson. Back in the early 1990s, York County had the Selection Commission. This commission was made up of one member from each district who was appointed by a circuit court judge. Members usually remained on the board until they chose to quit or they died. When there was an opening on the school board, they advertised that position in a 1.5 inch by 1.5 inch ad in the sports section of the Daily Press for 2 consecutive Sundays. No one would tell you who the candidates were. When they arrived at the hearing, you were only allowed to speak in favor of a candidate. The voters of the county decided by referendum that this was not acceptable. They voted to make the Board of Supervisors the body to make the appointments, the only choice at the time. The supervisors understood what citizens wanted. When there was an opening, the names of the candidates and information about them were published far in advance of the public hearing. The citizens had time to gather further information about each candidate and make informed recommendations to the supervisors. Now, as with the District 4 opening, the names of the candidates were withheld until the last minute. There was no additional information about them. Their names were not even posted on the school board website. Perhaps it is on social media, but not everyone is connected. We do not make the decision who to appoint. That is your job as stated in the Code of Virginia. But our input should be welcomed in assisting you to make the best decision possible. Anyone supporting a particular candidate tonight must be acquainted with them. The rest of us, by design, are kept in the dark. Your District 4 appointment was not acceptable to the voters, as is evident by Mr. Richardson's election to that position. We should not have to wait for an election to have proper input. Appointments will again come up in the future. I would like to see this board amend school board policy to require significant information on every candidate at least 10 days prior to a hearing and publish it on the school board website and the Daily Press. And on a side note, I wish you would ask each candidate to name all of the schools. None of your candidates for District 4 in the last appointment could do that. I think it's important that they understand what they're getting into, and I don't think many of them do because they don't participate ahead of time. Thank you.
Thank you. We've only had these two individuals to sign up. Is there anyone else that would like to speak at this public hearing? If you will come forward and state your name and address for the record.
I am one of the candidates.
You may do so.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Good evening.
Good evening.
My name's Ed Glaskin, 503 Burtdale Court, down in Kiln Creek. I'll just tell you a little bit about myself. I have a PhD in engineering mechanics from Virginia Tech, graduated in 1996. I've been at NASA Langley Research Center down the street for about 20 years now, since coming out. I was a postdoc, a member of the staff. I was an assistant branch head where I had oversight of about 40 civil servants and contractors, a chief engineer with technical authority over 6 branches, and I'm currently NASA's senior technologist for computational materials. During the 20 years, I've developed a lot of relationships with a lot of universities. I've developed and led a major research group that involved about 6 schools. I've selected and monitored about 15 grants for NASA. I've been the technical advisor to the Air Force Office of Scientific Research, to one of their program managers, who had about 50 grants, and I worked with those folks as well. I'm the chairman of NASA's Roadmap for Modeling, Simulation, Information Technology, and Processing, and I'm the chair of the NASA Space Technology Fellowships Group in Structures and Materials. We've awarded about 15 grants to very deserving graduate students in the last couple of years. So I feel like I have a good, solid understanding of what it takes to be academically successful. So why do I want to be on the school board? Frankly, the U.S. is falling further behind in STEM. We all know this. The Chinese, you guys may not know this, graduate about 10 times as many engineers as the U.S. does. And so the numbers are just against us. And it's something that we need to work on as a nation. And this is my opportunity to provide some input to one small part of that nation. The National Science Foundation assessment of 15-year-olds in math and science. Math rankings for the US, 28 of 35. Korea is number 1. In science, 21 of 35. Japan is number 1. US News, however, looks at York County schools very favorably. If you look at what they've assessed, this is one of the bright spots. And that is, we're 39% of our students pass the AP exams. So you guys have done a great job. I think the school system has done a great job. I think I can bring a new perspective, given all of my relationships with universities and going through the college track and knowing what a successful student entering college and passing through college looks like. I don't, however, think that every student in York County has to go to college. I do think they all have to be successful. And so, independent of their socioeconomic status and so forth, I want to see every student in this school system succeed to the best of their ability. I want to see those that should go to college or can go to college go. And I generally like to see every student and every family have a successful and positive experience with this school system. I also have a third grader at Grafton Bethel, by the way. So that's a personal side to this that motivates me to do this today. So with that, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak this evening?
Hi, I'm Talbot Vivian. I'm one of the candidates. I'm afraid my hearing aid's on the fritz tonight, so I apologize. I wish to be considered for your interim position. I am a retired colonel in the United States Air Force. I am a professor at Old Dominion University. I teach in healthcare administration. I have a long history and relationship with District 2. I've lived there for 18 years. My son's a graduate of Grafton High School. He's now currently actually a teacher at York High School. I currently work in a teaching environment. I work in the classroom. I know what works, what doesn't work. There's a lot of new fads out there in terms of what they should bring into the classroom. Some of those work, some of those don't work. I have a very good, deep understanding of that. I bring to the table more than just the educational background. I also bring managerial skills. I bring leadership skills. I bring deep financial skills. I've managed programs well in excess of $1.5 billion. Run many hospitals and many clinics. I have a great deal of leadership experience. So I'll keep this really short. I really would like to serve in this position, like to serve the community. I believe that everyone ought to, as they have talents, ought to bring them to the community and serve the community in general, irrespective of what other jobs that they perform. And I think I have that skill set would be of great value to the York County School Board and District 2 in particular. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Excuse me. Yep.
Well, I had 10 people supposed to show up, and they didn't, so can I take their 30 minutes?
No,
You got 3.
I got Well, I'd like to congratulate each of the other candidates for the District 2 seat. I think it's incredible that Nathan is running at his age. I know when I was 18, I had no idea what I wanted to do. But I'd like to remind the board of some things that we went over during the interview and my follow-up email. For the last 20 years, I've been involved in higher education in some facet. 16 years as a college professor, 4 years now running the Army Distributed Learning Program. And I can tell you, whether it's in the college or Army learning, people are people, learning styles are learning styles. And I got to see up front and up close how prepared or not prepared our students and potential students were prepared or not prepared, like I said, to attend college. The agency responsible for conducting the SAT recently came out with a study, and their study indicated that 80 to 85% of high school students that took the SATs are not prepared to take college-level math. Goal number 1 in the school board strategic plan is to teach our kids the skills needed to be productive citizens. How can we sit back and claim that that's one of our goals if 85% of our students are not prepared to take college-level math and other subjects? The strategic plan for the last few years also shows several opportunities. Queens Lake and Magruder Elementary, for example, show tremendous opportunity in students with disabilities and economically disadvantaged, because in those two areas, those two schools fell below the school board, the strategic plan mandated percentages for success. One of the primary goals of the strategic plan was that they wanted to see a 40% increase in African American students taking AP level classes in high school over the 2013 percentages. After a brief rise in 2014, those percentages have been steadily declining. Well, why is that? Well, those are the types of questions that I ask, and those are the types of questions that I feel like that I can answer, because I have students in the District 2 school system. I've been involved in the District 2 school system as a parent, and I've seen on a daily basis how prepared or unprepared our students are to take college-level classes. So not only are those the questions that I want to ask, those are the ones that I want to work with you to try to answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak at this hearing?
Kathleen?
If not, I'm going to close the public hearing. We appreciate all the comments we've received. The board will go into a closed session to discuss this decision further. I neglected to say that Mr. Medford couldn't be with us. When we started looking at dates, Mr. Medford already had other obligations. He was, however, with us for the interviews. Whenever we've had to go into a situation like this, we have scheduled everything that all of us could be in attendance, and he just could not be with us tonight. So with that, I am in need of a motion to take us into closed session.
Madam Chair, I move that the York County School Board convene in a closed session to consider the appointment of individuals to the York County School Board pursuant to Personnel Exemption Section 2.23711A1 of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act.
Second, please.
Second.
Mrs. Ford.
A motion is made by Mr. Richardson and seconded by Dr. George for the York County School Board to convene in closed session. Dr. George?
Yes.
Mr. Richardson?
Yes.
Mrs. Haywood?
Yes. Thank you. The board's in closed session. We have come out of closed session. I am in need of a motion to certify closed session.
Madam Chairwoman, I move to approve resolution number 17-46, certification of closed session to the best of each member's knowledge. Only public business matters were lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements under Virginia law were discussed in the closed session to which this certification applies, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion in which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, considered in the meeting by the school board.
Second, please.
Second.
Mrs. Ford.
A motion is made by Mr. Richardson and seconded by Dr. George to approve Resolution 17-46. Dr. George?
Yes.
Mr. Richardson?
Yes.
Mrs. Haywood?
Yes, thank you. Before I ask for a motion to identify the person, I just want to say that we appreciate all four candidates that have come forward. The talent, the wealth of knowledge, the dedication to York County. We truly appreciate that. We hope that everyone plans to run an election in November. Again, this board, the four of us, even with Mr. Medford missing tonight, our duty was to identify the best candidate that would help us in the interim. And that's July the 12th, or hopefully this person can join us for July the 12th to take the oath of office. until the election is certified. And I understand from Ms. Economo, whenever the electoral board certifies the election, I think I initially had said to take us through to the end of the year. But it's at that point, whenever the county certifies a winner in the election, then that person then goes into that position. So, with further ado, may I have a motion this evening?
Madam Chairwoman, I'd like to make a motion that we appoint Talbot Vivian as the interim school board member.
Second, please.
Second.
Mrs. Ford.
A motion was made by Mr. Richardson and seconded by Dr. George to appoint Talbot Vivian as the interim position of District 2 as the interim appointment to the board to fill the vacancy created by the resignation of Cindy Kershke. Dr. George?
Yes.
Mr. Richardson?
Yes.
Mrs. Haywood?
Yes, thank you. With that in mind, and I'm looking for my note, Mrs., we need to schedule an oath, and we're looking at Wednesday afternoon at, what time did we say?
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock here,
Okay.
if at all possible. We have people from the courthouse to come for that. Best we can do, but we want to get that person moving quickly. Anything else this evening? And information will go out from the board regarding for publication for tonight, but we plan right now it will be Wednesday at 3 o'clock here for the oath of office. Thank you. If nothing else, we are adjourned.